Kate Mila-Falcher, welcome to Irish Granny Helen. And I would like to tell you all about an old movie star caught up in a terrible scandal. And the topic I have already recorded with Deborah, and we looked into it. It's interesting. But I did want to provide background for anyone who may not recognize the name. I know that younger people might not even know who she was. She was a hot topic for a while. So we're talking about Lana Turner, the actress Lana Turner. And let's just get right into it here. She was born Julia Jean Lana Turner, February 8th of 1921 in Idaho. She was an only child. Her parents were from the South. Her mother was from Arkansas. Her father was from Alabama, and he was a miner. Sorry, I know these reflect. This is great. She was born 4 days before her mother's 17th birthday. Her parents met when her mother was 14 and her father was 24. They met in Oklahoma. Her grandfather was inspecting a mine, and her mother went along with her dad, and met him. Her grandfather, her mother's father, objected to this relationship, so they eloped. After Lana's birth, her father worked in a silver mine and in a dry cleaners that he owned. She was called Judy as a child. She liked to perform when she was very young. She liked to perform. She performed at the Elks. When she was 3, her mother was in a charity fashion show, and she did a little spontaneous dance routine for the group. When she was 6, her family was struggling financially, and they moved to San Francisco. Her parents separated, and December 14th of 1930, this I believe is a very significant moment in her life. Her father was bludgeoned and robbed after hiding some winnings in a craps game in his sock and walking home. He was waylaid on the way home. He died, and it was never solved. At the time, Lana was 8, and she was profoundly affected. She said, "His tragedy never is far from me." She often lived with extended family and friends because of her mother being poor, usually with family friends. It sounds sketchy to me. She moved a lot. They went to Sacramento, then they went back to San Francisco. After her father's death, they lived in Modesto, famous home of Scott Peterson, with her family, extended family, who really mistreated her, treated her like a servant. Her mother worked 80 hours a week as a beautician. Lana said they lived on crackers and milk. She was baptized as a Protestant when she was born, but when she was little, the family took her to the Roman Catholic Church, and the family she happened to be living with, and she loved the whole ritual of it. And when she was 7, she convinced her mother to allow her to convert to Catholicism. She attended the Convent of the Immaculate Conception. That was a school. She didn't become a nun at the age of 7. It was just a school run by this convent. And of course, she wanted to be a nun, like all good Catholic girls, right? In the mid-1930s, about 1936, she moved to Los Angeles on the advice of her mother's doctor because she had really bad respiratory problems. She had asthma. She had pneumonia. Anyway, the legend was that she was discovered at Schwab's Pharmacy, I think on Sunset Boulevard, or at least Hollywood Boulevard, somewhere there in the heart of Hollywood at the time. And this is actually, an urban myth. It's not true. Her real story is that at 16, she skipped school to buy a Coke at the Top Hat Malt shop on Sunset Boulevard. And she was seen there by a Hollywood reporter called William Wilkerson. And he asked her, hey, you want to be in movies? So, this guy is mashing on a 16-year-old is what we're talking about. So she said, well, I'll have to ask my mother first. And she was referred to Zeppo Marx. Now, I am really astounded at how few people seem to remember the Marx Brothers. The Marx Brothers were a group of, I believe there were 5 or 6 of them. It's been I read Groucho Marx's autobiography in 1967 or 8, so my facts are a little foggy, but he was one of a large Jewish family living in the tenements in part of New York. They were poor. They shared musical instruments. They had talent, and their mother was determined that they were going to rise from poverty. They did the vaudeville circuit. They did, I think they did the Catskills. I mean, they were very popular in a certain niche of entertainment. And some of them actually translated into movies with more ease than others. And so Groucho with the mustache, Harpo, the musician, Zeppo, I can't remember the others. Anyway, Zeppo did very little in the public face of the group. He became an agent, like a producer agent type guy. And he was introduced to Lana, the 16-year-old, and he got her a contract with Warner Brothers for $50 a week, which would be over $1,000 today a week. She became the protege of director Mervyn LeRoy, who convinced her to change her name. And I'm not clear how to define protege in this circumstance, but okay. In 1937, she made her first movie. She was nobody in the movie. They Won't Forget is what it was called. She was a teenage murder victim. And because of the film, how she was dressed in the film, which didn't seem in any way remarkable to me, but I have been researching the Kardashians, so it's all relative. She was called the Sweater Girl. She hated her role in the movie, and she hated the outfit. And she said, this was the first time that I was conscious of my body. A columnist said that Lana Turner made a sweater look like something Cleopatra was saving for next time she was visiting Caesar. A little hyperbole, I think. When LeRoy moved to MGM, he took Lana with her, and Jack Warner thought that she wouldn't amount to anything. She got a new contract through MGM at $100 a week, which was over $200, almost $2,200, $2,200 a week here in our money. In 1938, she made the movie Love Finds Andy Hardy. Remember those movies? Oh, God. And she actually earned her high school diploma while she was making this movie. The California law didn't want kids to be acting and neglecting their education. So they required, I think it was 3 hours of uninterrupted tutoring behind the set every day. I think Natalie Wood did that, but Natalie Wood ended up going to a real high school, but as a younger kid, she did her education on set. Lana Turner got her high school diploma on set. Louis B. Mayer thought that she could be the next Jean Harlow, and he gave her some fairly decent roles to see. She tested to be Scarlett O'Hara, because everybody did, apparently. Needless to say, that didn't work out. But she made a few more movies. She was seen as a sex symbol, and she actually got on the cover of Look magazine. In 1940, she eloped to Las Vegas with band leader Artie Shaw. It was a big deal. And that lasted 4 months. This caused MGM to be concerned about her impulsive behavior. She later said, Shaw didn't treat her well. He was given to rages. They divorced in the spring of 1940, and as they were divorcing, she found out she was pregnant. She went to Hawaii and arranged a secret abortion in her hotel room without anesthesia. The doctor charged $500, and the money was taken out of her MGM wages. The press was told that she was hospitalized for exhaustion. In 1940, she made the movie Two Girls on Broadway, the first musical she did. It's a remake of Broadway Melody from the 30s, I think. In 41, she made The Ziegfeld Girl for the first time. She said this movie actually stimulated some interest for her in acting. Before that, she just was doing it. You know. She got very good box office in money, and MGM raised her salary to $1,500 a week. Now we're talking $33,566. Today's money. She became lifelong friends with her co-star, Judy Garland. They even lived next door to each other in the 50s. She then started the first of 4 films that she made with Clark Gable. In the second one, partway through the shooting of the movie, Carole Lombard died in a plane crash. And, there are all kinds of rumors that Carole Lombard insisted on flying home from this bond tour selling war bonds because she wanted to get home quickly, because she knew that Clark was making this movie with Lana Turner and she was jealous. So she became the popular pinup girl for World War II. Her image was on airplane noses. Tempest Turner is what they called her on the nose of the plane. They'd write it. Her name flew into battle with the Canadian squadron. On a U.S. bond tour, she sold kisses and made huge money. She was welcomed by her hometown in Idaho on this tour. During the war, she made regular visits to military hospitals and bases and troops, and she said it really wore her down emotionally to see that. She met and eloped with Stephen Crane, so this is husband number 2, on July 12th after a week of dating. This was annulled 4 months later. It sounds like 4 months is about the standard length so far of her marriages. She had an affair with Tyrone Power. She claimed he was the love of her life, that she got pregnant and had an abortion because it was just not going to happen. She also was reported to have had affairs with Frank Sinatra and Howard Hughes. She did Homecoming, the movie, with Clark Gable, and they were very popular with the public. They were advertised as the team that generates steam. In 1946-47, she was MGM's most popular star. She was the highest paid woman in the United States. She made over $250,000 that year. Of all women, I guess, in the United States. In 1948, she was proposed to by a millionaire socialite brother of an owner of the New York Yankees. And the way he did it was very public. He dropped an engagement ring, a gigantic rock, into her martini in a restaurant. They were married at the family mansion, and the whole to-do made her 3 days late for filming, but MGM had to put up with it because she was so popular. So even, they expanded the role. They didn't get her in trouble for showing up late, but when the movie was all finished, let's see, see here. They increased her pay too. So now she was making $70,000 a week. That can't be right, but it was. It's unbelievable. The movie Three Musketeers was a huge, gigantic hit. It made $4.5 million. So she was going with, didn't I write his name? Oh, with this millionaire. I don't think I wrote his name down. She was going with him, but his divorce wasn't final. She found out she was pregnant. Okay. So she tried to divorce him after a short period of time. Then she found out again that she was pregnant. This is the millionaire with the ring in the glass. The divorce hadn't been quite final, but she went ahead and they kind of did a fake remarriage. So she had a really sad situation. She was Rh negative. And what it boils down to is if you carry a baby all the way to full term, it will often die after birth because of blood anomalies. It's complicated. So, despite having an Rh negative blood type, she gave birth to her daughter Cheryl, who was born with Rh fetal anemia and almost died, but they saved her. She continued to get the sex symbol label. So finally, August of 44, her divorce was absolutely final. She did it for accusing him of gambling and not being employed. She was a big supporter of FDR. She made a whole lot of big box office hits. In 46, she made her big defining movie, The Postman Always Rings Twice. This was career defining. It's considered a classic movie, a classic noir film. She got glowing reviews, and she said she felt like it was her first chance to do some real acting. It was a major financial success, and the studio was willing to take more risks with her because her name would bring in audiences, even if the kind of movie or the kind of role might not. She made Green Dolphin Street, which it was the first time that a big famous star made a movie that wasn't in a role where it was all about her looks. Okay, I read that already. So now she's getting even more money, and she made the movie itself brought in over $63.25 million. Anyway, she was pregnant again. The baby was stillborn. Louis B. Mayer suspended her, and she unwillingly returned to work after 3 years. So she was suspended for quite a long time. But she did A Life of Her Own, and she hated it, and it wasn't successful. But on May 24th of 1950, she put her feet and hands in Grauman's Chinese theater cement. MGM decided, well, she's been gone a while, let's rebrand her. And they tried to put her in a musical, and it got really bad reviews. She was facing bankruptcy. She was severely depressed. She locked herself in a bathroom and tried to, solve the problem permanently. Her business manager, Benton Cole, broke down the door and saved her life. And I put in parentheses here, she just had a baby. Did she have postpartum depression? I wonder. I mean, can you imagine? She has lost all those pregnancies for one reason or another. The next year, she did The Merry Widow and had an affair with Fernando Lamas. And he became physically aggressive, and he was fired for it. In 52, she made The Bad and the Beautiful, which was a huge success. 1 week after the release, she finalized her divorce for drinking and gambling. In spring of 53, she went to Europe for 18 months. Now, a lot of stars did this, and it's got something to do with getting tax breaks on American films. I wasn't really comprehending what the maneuver was, but it was a tax dodge. This time away, she made her fourth and last film with Gable. In 53, she married Lex Barker. And after a few good films, MGM said, okay, in 56, they renewed her contract. She'd earned the studio more than $50 million. And she was really resentful that they didn't give her better roles. In 1956, she got pregnant again. The baby was stillborn. In 57, she divorced Barker after accusations from Cheryl She confronted him at gunpoint and forced him out of the house. Lana did. Not recommending it. They got divorced. Then she got a contract from 20th Century Fox to make Peyton Place. She was Constance Mackenzie. This was a big, big, big success. She'd agreed to take a percentage of the film earnings instead of a salary, and boy, was that lucky, because it was such a huge success. She made a fortune. It had a lot of critical acclaim. She got nominated for an Oscar. While filming her next movie, she was very aggressively pursued under an alias by a fan. Sounds kind of stalkerish to me. It turned out to be a guy called Johnny Stompanato, who had ties to Mickey Cohen and the mob. And when she found out who he really was, she tried to break it off, but he wouldn't let her. He persisted, and they had a very tumultuous relationship. A lot of physical stuff, many makeups, and then falling apart again. She claimed he once put something in her drink and took compromising photos of her to use as blackmail. They had a big confrontation while filming in London, and he put his hands around her neck, which statistically increases your likelihood of being strangled by that individual by very high, logarithmically. So she tried to get him deported, and he showed up. He got mad, and he showed up while she and Sean Connery were working on a role. He showed up and had a weapon and threatened both of them. Connery grabbed it, which is lucky for him. It didn't, Johnny ran off, but because of this, the Scotland Yard got him and escorted him off the plane with a one-way ticket. In March of 1958, she went to the Academy Awards as a presenter. He was mad that she couldn't go, and this was not her decision. This was a studio decision. When she got home, he got physical again. He threatened her. He threatened to cut her face, which, her moneymaker, right? And also to put an end to her daughter, and her mother. Her daughter was 15. She was in the other room, and she was, now this is the official story, but be sure to catch my session with Deborah. The 15-year-old was in fear for her mother's life, came out of the kitchen with a knife to protect her mother as he was coming through the door and into the stomach. He died. This was a media sensation like you wouldn't believe. There was an inquest April 12th of 1958 and a near riot outside of it with the media. After 4 hours of testimony and 25 minutes of deliberation, the jury said it was justifiable homicide. They held Cheryl in custody until April 24th. So, how many days are we talking here? Let's see. Almost 2 weeks. They held her in custody. Because a juvenile judge said he was concerned for proper parental supervision. She was released to her grandmother and got regular psychiatric treatment with her parents. Turner and Cheryl were exonerated, but the public opinion was divided. It was quite the controversy, a scandal. Life magazine showed pictures of her in real court next to movie shots, and it really blurred reality and the movies, and people associated her as guilty, associating with film roles instead of the real life. Stampanato's family did a wrongful death suit for $750,000 in damages. They made allegations that Cheryl was not the one who did it, that Cheryl took the blame. And this was settled out of court for $20,000. Harold Robbins wrote a book called Where Love Has Gone, and a movie was made of it, and she was in it. Cheryl, at this point, was having emotional problems. She ran away often. She tried self-harm several times. She was checked into a mental hospital. But at the age of 21, she got a job working for her father. And apparently that helped. Meanwhile, Lana, in 59, made the movie Imitation of Life and had panic attacks all through the filming. Unaddressed trauma, anybody? It was the year's biggest success, and her career was the biggest moneymaker. And she'd opted for 50% of the film earnings, and she ended up with a tidy $2 million. It got mixed reviews. It was seen that this movie and Peyton Place mirrored her real life. People were beginning to say, oh, interesting choice of movies, Lana. Cheryl came out as lesbian and was accused of being rebellious. She ran away a lot. She'd been put in an institution again. In November of 1960, she had her fifth marriage to a guy called Fred May. Now, if you are from California, I don't know if it's anywhere else, you're familiar with the May Company. And the May Company was, I don't know if it still exists, it's a really nice department store. It was a cut above Penny's and Sears, you know, maybe not quite as fancy as maybe, I don't know, Macy's. I don't know, I've never been to Macy's, but a cut above, really very nice. And he was from the May family, Fred May, but he owned a ranch. And she moved to his ranch in Chino. In 61, she made her last MGM film. That kind of reminds me of Ann Baxter moving to the outback of Australia. Usually doesn't go well. In 61, she made her last MGM movie with Bob Hope. And it was called Bachelor in Paradise. I think they later made a TV show. The next movie she made was By Love Possessed. That was a book. Pretty sure that was a book. Taylor Caldwell? No. Anyway, she made a couple of other films that were called Reasonable. She was referred to as never one of our subtler actresses. So I skipped a page. By Love Possessed was the first in-flight movie in an airplane in first class in TWA. She divorced Fred May in October of 62. And in 65, she married Robert Eaton. He was about 10 years younger than she. He was a Hollywood producer. Then she did her last big starring role, Madam X. She got the Golden Plaque Award for Best Foreign Actress, which is an Italian award. In April of 69, she and Eaton got divorced because he was unfaithful. Weeks later, I mean, this is like a revolving door. I mean, it's incredible. Weeks later, in May of 69, she married Ron Peller, a nightclub hypnotist. He lied. He told her he'd been born in Singapore and he had a PhD. Professor Harold Hill. September of 69, she began a TV series on Harold Robbins' The Survivor, but it got canceled after 15 weeks. She divorced Peller in January of 1950 because he stole $35,000 investment money from her and $100,000 of her jewelry, and she didn't get him charged with anything. After that, she proclaimed she would be celibate for life. She had 8 marriages. She married one guy twice. And her comment was, I always wanted one husband and 7 kids, but it turns out the other way around because it was 7 men, 8 marriages. So she made a couple of other films, and she was called never one of our more subtle actresses. In the 70s, she began doing theater, live theater. The first play she made was called Fashion Show. She said it was not much of a play, and it all but disappears under old-time Hollywood glamour of Miss Turner's star presence. This is what some critics said. It's like she was such a star that nobody was paying attention to the play. They were just gazing at her. It got good reviews, and she got good reviews for Bell Book and Candle, that toured for 2 years, which is impressive. In 1980, really began her downhill slide. She had been drinking, and it got pretty serious addiction starting in the 50s. But by 1980, she weighed 95 pounds. But she claimed to have a religious awakening at that point. She returned to Roman Catholicism. In 81, she got the National Film Award, and she got a repeat role on a TV show called Falcon Crest. She wrote her autobiography, Lana, the Lady, the Legend, the Truth. She was on Love Boat in 1985. It was her last screen performance. She began meditating and told people that she was really spiritual. She was getting very close to God. She'd been a lifetime smoker. They would airbrush cigarettes out of her photos because she always had a cigarette in her hand. In 92, she had throat cancer that went to her jaw and lungs. And even though she was treated and it seemed to go away, it came back 2 years later. In September of 94 was her last official public appearance in San Sebastian, the International Film Festival in Spain. She got the Lifetime Achievement Award. She was in a wheelchair. She died in June of 95. She was 74 years old in Century City. Her daughter Cheryl was there. And it was a real shock to everybody because they all thought she had been getting better. Cheryl was given $50,000 in her mother's will, and most of her money, close to $2 million, went to her maid, Carmen Cruz. She'd been her maid and her caregiver for 45 years. Well, Cheryl didn't like that and took her to court, challenged it, and eventually the court fight used up the money. It's really sad. So she'd been compared to Jean Harlow, to Clara Bow, the It Girl. She had a pinup sex symbol image. After The Postman Always Rings Twice, she became the femme fatale of film noir. There were real parallels between her and her film life. She was cast only in roles that were symbolic of what the public seemed to know about her life from the headlines. But her person kind of became her persona, which came first, the movie or Lana, basically. Her autonomy in her romantic life was very male prerogative. And it really did fuel a lot of publicity about her, negative publicity. But she didn't do anything that a lot of men stars did differently. Dorothy Kilgallen called her one of the most glamorous stars ever. She called it, Lana called it an image I've worked too hard to obtain. She was obsessed with clothes and shoes. She had 698 pairs of shoes. She was a huge favorite with women fans because she exemplified the glamour of the Hollywood star, and she really played it up. Her favorite actress was Bette Davis. She felt like Lana's image represented the American dream fulfilled. Small town girl makes it big. She's been called a studio-made product, a faded period piece, not very flattering, but she was a very hard worker. She just got caught up by the studio system and couldn't figure out how to get out of it. She became a minor character in James Ellroy's book, L.A. Confidential. They made a movie of it. It's an interesting book. She had the stage name Lana Del Rey when she was on, acting live. And she has a star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame. In 2012, she was voted number 8th most famous actress in history, Hollywood history. So that's the story of Lana Turner. And we did do, Deborah and I did do one of our sessions together, and it was Very revelatory. I encourage you to watch it. When I put this up, we will very shortly put that up together with it. So they'll be available together virtually. I hope you enjoyed that. I'm open to suggestions. I have some suggestion somebody asked for coming up fairly soon. I'm trying not to do, all Hollywood all the time. I mean, there are other things happening in the world. So thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. I appreciate all the really nice comments people make. And I'm pretty happy that, people enjoy this stuff and are really interested in it. It's not the only thing I think about, but, I'm trying to offset some of the hard current events with something pleasant and, intriguing from the past. Okay, thank you very much. Slongafoil, Sláinte.